Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Carly Shortino-Poulter, and I'm the director of the ARC Advocacy Network at the ARC of Indiana. And I want to welcome you to our session for Ask the ARC, our monthly webinar where we talk about all sorts of disability-related issues. Tonight, we're going to have PJ Vaught, who is the Community Outreach Manager for the Indiana Education Scholarship Accounts. PJ has been contacting private schools and other providers such as therapists, tutors, camp directors, and other organizations as part of his main duties to make sure that people learn about education scholarship accounts. PJ increases awareness about the scholarship accounts through the state of Indiana and helps schools and providers register to become part of the program, which is free to do. He's been in his position since January of 2023, and before that, he came from the Medicare industry, where he helped lead teams of Medicare agents. And so, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about education scholarship accounts because our family advocates at the ARC get a lot of calls from families who are having issues with the school system or who are trying to find the best way to make sure that their child is able to get the education that they need and in the way that they need it. And an education scholarship may be an option for a lot of families. This is a relatively new program, and so not a lot of people have heard about it. And so we wanted to make sure that we were helping families learn about all of their different options when it comes to education, so that they can make the choice that is best for them and for their families. So, PJ, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I want to welcome everybody to our session tonight. And as we go along, I'd like you to go ahead and put your questions in the question and answer session. We will answer questions as we go along. I do want to let you know that tonight's session is being recorded and will be posted to both our YouTube channel as well as the ARC Academy, so that families who aren't able to join us tonight are able to learn about this. But I want to thank you for joining us tonight, PJ, and for talking about this and helping families understand what this program really is and what it can actually do for students with disabilities. So at this
Yeah.
point, let me hand it over to you.
Well, Carly, thanks a lot. And if you have any questions that you want to address, just stop me as we go, or we can, save any questions to the end. It's totally fine. I get
Okay.
the great opportunity to talk to all you folks, and I appreciate your time. Let me go ahead and share my screen. We do have a presentation that we like to go over just so I don't forget anything. The older I get, the more I forget. So it's nice to have this to keep me on point. So the scholarship account, it was actually passed in the Indiana State Legislature in 2021. Got a very limited release in 2022, but since January of 2023, we've been going full go to make sure that everybody in the state of Indiana who could be positively affected by this knows about it. And my job as the outreach manager is to go out there and make sure I'm talking to schools and providers and bringing them into this program so that our education scholarship account families actually have great providers and schools to help their children get ahead. Basically, the ESA is funded by state tax dollars. You're going to it gives the kids expanded educational options for K through 12 Hoosier students with a disability, and now with their siblings can be part of this as well. And there's an income requirement, but we'll talk about that in a slide. It's very easy to hit for most people. The scholarships can be used on private school tuition, home education, tutoring, therapies, lessons. We've even got a couple of karate dojos in the state of Indiana that cater to special needs students, and they're getting them out there and they're really having a great time and working their muscles and learning and just really thriving. So let's move to the next one. So the student eligibility checklist, it's all very simple. Kids got to be a resident of the state of Indiana. It's K through 12 grade level. So ages 5 years old to 22 years old who has not yet graduated from high school. They've got to have a disability and require special education. They got to meet the income requirement, which is really easy to qualify for. And as part of this, they've also got to complete state testing, whatever test is appropriate for their age per the state. Now the income levels, if it's a household size, one parent, just $111,000 or below, and that parent would qualify for the child. a family of four, for instance, as long as the household income is less than $230,000, they will qualify. Anybody above that, it's like, that's a good problem to have, I guess. So, but this, I think about 90 or to 95% of most families in the state that qualify for this. So how it works, there's really two buckets of money that make up the award. The award for most kids is anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000 per year. Gives the parent the option to take their child out of a public school or charter school and put them into a private school where the scholarship dollars will help with tuition and fees, or they can school them at home, no problem there. And then any money left over can be used for extra therapies, tutoring, camps, lessons, etc. Now, the special needs money, that's what is known as the APC money, or for adjusted pupil count. And this depends on the level of disability. A level 1 child will get $11,104 of special needs money. A level 2 would be $2,790. And a level 3, that's usually just communication disorders like language or speech impairment. That's $525. But they can be a level 1 and a level 3, or a level 2 and a level 3. But if it makes any sense, they can't be a 1 and a 2. That's not how the state works it. The other bucket of money is the tuition money, or the ADM money. And on this, I'll make sure that Carly has this presentation. So if anybody wants it, they can look it over. But basically, it'll be anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000, or $5,000 to about $8,000, really. And that just depends on what school system the person lives in. Like, for instance, if the geographical school corporation that the parent lives in is, say, South Adams Schools, that means that child would get, in addition to their special needs money, would get $5,863.68. So in total, depending on the level of disability, it'll be anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000 per student, per disabled student each year. Okay. In a second, we'll also talk about siblings. But like, for instance, let's do an example here. So in this one, the student with a level 1 disability, that's the $11,104, who lives in South Adams School District, $5,800, could receive a maximum scholarship award of almost $17,000 per year. Okay. The ESA funds, they're distributed quarterly. And depending on whether the parent wants the school to be paid directly or just receive an invoice, that's something that we'll figure out per student, per family as we get to it. Families can roll over up to $1,000 of unused funds each year. Okay. And just approved was the siblings. So this was on July 1st of 2024. So this just happened a few days ago. A child having basically, as long as the child is part of the family, they may not be disabled, that's fine. The special needs student, it's got to be approved before any siblings. Students who do not require special education will only receive state support tuition dollars. So let's say that the special needs student got $17,000, and their sibling wants to be a part of the ESA, but they don't have any special need and they still live in that South Adams School District. That means that the non-disabled student would get $5,800 to use for tuition and fees. If they're being educated at home, obviously they can use that for other things since they don't have to pay tuition and fees. Curriculum, tutoring, camp, and testing are approved expenses. And the nice thing about the siblings is, once you signed up your special needs child, signing up the siblings is really easy, because most of the information is already in the form. So it just takes a few minutes to get the children signed up. And the reason we got this across was we had situations where the special needs student was going to one school, but the siblings of that maybe the child had two brothers, and they were going to another school, and it was just the parent was having to do a lot of shuffling to try to get everybody to school each day. So the legislators saw fit to make sure that if the parents want it, that the siblings can go to the same school. Okay. That's working out pretty well. Um, Class Wallet is the financial management platform for the scholarship account. Parents, they utilize Class Wallet to pay for providers for services received. Um, Providers register their bank account information to receive payment from ESA students. Providers are responsible for invoicing ESA students. So it's basically Class Wallet's the online payer platform. Let's say a parent takes their child to therapy, and let's say it's $1,000. What'll happen is the therapist will invoice the parent. Let's say they're right there in the office. They'll invoice the parent, give them the invoice. The parent literally can take a picture of the invoice with their smartphone. They can upload it into Class Wallet right then and there and submit it. Our office will usually approve it within 1 to 2 days, and then Class Wallet will pay the therapist directly within 7 to 10 days. So it's actually a really nice form of a nice way to get these schools and these providers paid. Now, the schools, they'll have an option where they can just be paid direct. So the parent can just say, I want my school just to get their money, twice a year, one in the first half, one payment in the first half, one payment in the second half, and I just don't want to mess with it. And we will set that up with our office to be able to pay the school directly, which has been an actual, it's a big improvement. It's made interfacing with the schools a lot easier. All ESA payments must be in arrears after services have been provided. Like I said, qualified schools can invoice for tuition fees up front, or we can just have them paid directly. Participation in the ESA program does not prohibit or interfere with the use of insurance or Medicaid waivers. We're going to encourage families to use their Medicaid waiver or their private insurance first if they've got it, and then they can kind of plug in their ESA funding wherever they need to. And or if they don't have the Medicaid waiver or private insurance, they can just use their scholarship dollars to pay for those kind of things. And the nice thing is we also got another change that came through that was really nice. Parents can use the ESA funds to pay for deductibles, co-pays, and co-insurance. So no longer will those things be a barrier for the child getting what they need, and that's kind of important. The student eligibility window, applications for this coming school year open on March 1st, and they'll close on September 1st, 2024. Now, schools and service providers, they can sign up for the education scholarship account year round, but for new students coming in or students reapplying, September 1st is the deadline, and it is first come, first serve. The state set aside $10 million a year for this program at this time. Once that money is used up for the students, then that's all there is for that year. So at some point, we're not quite there yet, but at some point there'll probably be a wait list. And at that point, that'll give us an opportunity to go back to the legislature and say, hey, we need some more money because this program is growing and it's time. Whether they say yes or not is up to them, but we're going to make a strong case. Now, another thing that just got added in was curriculum. So we can we can approve payment for books, computer software, digital content. Excluded are things like computer hardware and other technological devices. We're trying to get some of those across the finish line, but we got shot down on it last legislative session, but we're going to keep coming back and seeing what we can do. Because, for instance, say kids with autism, a lot of times they need the handheld, almost like tablet devices to communicate, and we understand that. So we're going to keep fighting on that one and do what we can do. Class Wallet Marketplace is the only platform to purchase goods and items, and we're busy right now in our office getting more and more curriculum providers into the Class Wallet Marketplace, so our families have a ton of choices for their curriculum. Right now, we got 30 vendors listed in Marketplace, and I know I've got another 30 more where I'm actually calling the vendors and getting them hooked up with Class Wallet so that we can get them across the finish line as well. Purchasing guide is on the ESA website resources pages. It tells you what kind of things we can approve payment for and what kind of things we don't. Typically, the services are fine. It's the hardware that is really up in the air and we have to do on a case-by-case basis. The best advice I can give, this last bullet point, if you have questions about a good or item prior to purchasing, please call our staff or office. We'll be happy to help. This program is a young program. We've got 7 people in the office, And we're still nimble enough to be able to answer questions and help people in a pretty quick manner. Usually same day, if not, it'll be like 2 days. But a lot of times you can get your help or your questions answered same day. And my advice on this is if you have a child that's in the ESA and you're wondering about a purchase, before you pull the trigger and buy it, make sure that it's something that we cover so we don't have to come back and tell you no, and we don't, and that we won't cover it, because we are bound by what the law says, not what we want, unfortunately.
PJ, we do have a question that has come in
Yeah,
about the software options.
yeah.
She says, for software, if a family already has an iPad, can they use ESA money to purchase the software so that the tablet works as an augmented as a communication device, an AAC device?
My thought on that is favorable, but what I would say is, my manager is the one that I report to. Dina Matthews is the one that pulls the trigger and approves things. Have the family to call the office, and let's look at that on a case by case basis, because if we can pay for it, we want to pay for it.
Mhm.
So that's how we feel about it. I feel like there's a pretty good chance we would in that
Mhm.
situation. But, unfortunately, with some of these things, it gets down to we have to make a lot of judgment calls about what the law says and what it doesn't say. So like it's almost like taking a course in law, dealing with this stuff. So I hope that's helpful. Once again, on things like that, just call us and we'll be able to, if I don't have the answer, we'll find it. And usually on the same time of the phone call.
Okay, and you mentioned that you guys have just gotten the ability to be able to pay for curriculum, or if I understood what you said correctly. So, for
Did.
example, let's say we've got a student who has dyslexia. This would allow the parents to purchase the Orton Gillingham program so that they can work with that dyslexia to help the child learn how to read better. Is that
As long as
correct?
it's up on the Class Wallet
Yeah. Okay.
marketplace, it's fair
Okay.
game. Fair
Um,
game.
I also want to point out, without giving shout outs to any specific company, especially because I don't know if they're one of the approved vendors yet, there are actually curriculum developers and textbooks authors who actually have an entire high school based curriculum that is aligned with Indiana state standards that is written at a second to fourth grade reading level. So we have a lot of students who, because of their reading difficulties, wind up getting pulled off of diploma track. There are options out there that are written at a second to fourth grade reading level, but that are aligned with state standards to allow that student to actually get their high school diploma. That's not something that a lot of people know about, and I wanted to bring that up for the
That is
families who are
wonderful.
on here so that they know that this is an option. And this is something that potentially, and potentially is the key word there, that potentially the education scholarship account could actually pay for.
Yeah, and here's the thing is if your child is accepted into the education scholarship account and you don't see a curriculum provider that you really like, send it over. We have a wait list right now. I am actually working on getting the contact so that Class Wallet can get more, we want to get to 60 in the short term. But I am more than willing to try to get through other providers. Sometimes what we run into is maybe the company is a very small company and they don't have um, the electronic infrastructure to be able to interface with Class Wallet correctly. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And sometimes that kind of disqualifies them, but a lot of companies are able to. So we want to get all those companies in that we can. And here's the thing: one of the reasons why we do it on Class Wallet, on the Class Wallet marketplace, is because if we didn't do it that way, returns on those items would be a nightmare for our office to handle, because they would all come through us and we'd have to be shipping things out and we'd have to have double or triple the staff that we have now. And quite frankly, we would rather spend the money on students on their scholarship dollars rather than pay overhead on new employees. Does that make this? I hope that makes sense to everybody. We want it to be able to be used by the kids.
It does. All right, I will
But
let you continue on and oh wait, uh we answered that one live. So remember to go ahead and keep putting your questions in the question and answer box as we go along. And let's let
yeah.
PJ continue.
Thank you, Carly. The nice thing is too, is with Class Wallet, the returns can be done right through them, and any refunds that need to be made into your accounts can be made so you don't lose any money that you have in your account. So that's really one of the nice ways that that works out. We get a lot of questions, and some of them are this. This is an important one. Can my child be enrolled in a public school and still receive an ESA scholarship? The answer is no, but your child could take an individual course like biology, gym class, or testing at the school. The school does need to be an approved provider so that they can be paid via ESA funds. And what that means in practicality, the money that's going, let me give you an overall view of this. The money that is flowing to the school with the ESA is actually being redirected into an account that the parent controls. That's why the child can't be a full-time student in a public or charter school, because they're public entities. That's where the money's coming from that the parent will control to have their child go to a private school or be schooled at home and be able to get the therapies, tutoring, lessons, etc., that they want and need. But if a public school is game to be part of the education scholarship account, then that means that the parent can actually a la carte classes at the public school. Maybe the parent doesn't feel comfortable teaching biology and or trig or whatever, and they feel like the public school will be the place. Well, if the local school is part of the ESA, then the child can go and take a 2 or 3, 4 classes that they need. They just can't be full time, and that usually means, a little bit above halftime. They got to be on the other side of that. But at any rate, that's an important thing to know, because sometimes we've had a lot of kids who want to stay in the public school and be part of the ESA, but literally that would be double dipping on funds. We can't do that per the law. Now, what is the difference between a choice scholarship account and an education scholarship account? So the choice scholarship can be used to cover tuition and fees at a non-public voucher accepting schools. Okay. Basically anything after that, there's nothing after that. It just pays for tuition and fees. But with an ESA, anything left over can be used for extra therapies, tutoring, camps, lessons, etc. So it gives the special need child the extra edge that they need, especially to catch up after COVID, because I know a lot of kids fell behind, and this is a great catalyst to help our special needs community kids catch up and thrive. I know one kid in particular jumped 2 grades since they've been in the ESA, and that was a real victory for that family and for that child. All right. What if my child's current service provider is not an approved ESA provider? Well, that's where I come in. And that's also where you as a parent come in. We're always looking for new providers to add to our program. We've got I want to say a little bit over 500 providers and schools in our program right now across the state. But I'm not going to be happy till we have 1,000 or 1,200, quite frankly. I want the parents to have as many choices as they can in their area, that's as close as possible. So I'm happy to go talk to those folks to try to get them to register. And it's free for schools and providers to register and be part of the ESA. Literally, we just need them to fill out the application and the agreement so that you're allowed to pay them with scholarship dollars per state law. So if you've got, let's say there's a therapist that you wanted to send your child to, or that you have been sending your child to, but they're not part of the ESA. Talk to your therapist about the program, and then get me involved and let me call secondarily. I want you to talk to them first, and then they know who I am when I call. Sometimes it's hard if they don't know who I am and what I'm doing, and I have to explain everything from the get-go. It's much easier, much more effective when the parent has already, given a little bit of a heads up to the provider, saying, hey, this guy from the ESA is going to call you. This is what the program is. And basically it's money, scholarship money, so we can pay you. So everybody likes to get paid. And, insurance is a sore point for a lot of providers, and they love it when they get paid with scholarship dollars, because, the truth of the matter is we pay a heck of a lot faster than insurance providers do. So they like that. All right, let's move to the next one. Can my child enroll in online or virtual classes? No, per the ESA legislation, online and virtual classes are not allowed. The legislators right now take a pretty strict approach on that. Only a change in the current law is going to be able to fix it. And, we lobby for that each year, each legislative session. We do encourage you to speak to your local representatives on this, should the online or virtual education appeal to you. And there's some great companies out there that do it. So if put a bug in your legislator's ear that you like this particular school and why you like it. Is online or virtual therapy an approved expense? And I'll add, secondly, is online or virtual tutoring an approved expense? Yes, both of those we can approve, and you can pay for with your scholarship dollars. So therapy online and tutoring online are okay. So I'm sure there was a method to that madness somewhere, but that's just the law that we're working with right now. And this is Ella. This is, as a matter of fact, this is the child that I was talking about who has jumped 2 grade levels since they've been in the ESA. So, she is in a tough spot. My wife knows them and has talked to the mother about it. I can't remember what the name of the physical malady that she has, but she has no movement and she can only really communicate with her eyes. And since they've gotten the ESA, she has exploded in growth, and the mother is just beside herself. So that's one of the things that makes this job probably one of the most rewarding jobs I've ever had. And Anna is another ESA student. She says through the education scholarship account, she can attend a school that caters to her unique learning style where she's thriving. Now, she didn't say that, but that's a paraphrase for her and her parents. So she's a good kid. And then the ESA has been wonderful for my child, has given all the resources to continue his education. We believe very strongly in our office that the parent knows best, and nobody's going to love and care and watch out for their special needs child like that parent. And they should be the ones making the decisions and be in the driver's seat. And when they need to ask a question, there should be resources there to help them. And in our office will be there to help every step of the way, because we want to see these kids end up educationally where they need to be. And I will say this: there are some kids that their parents pull them out of the ESA and they'll put them back in public school when they're ready. And that's totally fine with us. There's some kids that, they'll have other situations. Maybe they're in a private school and they opt to go and be homeschooled, and that's wonderful too. The ESA will be there to help facilitate what needs to happen with those kids that's best for them. And the parent's going to be 99.9% of the time the one that knows best. And we'll go with whatever they feel. And then we got Cameron, Cassidy, and Judah, good kids. One of the kids is not special needs and the other 2 are, but this is Lauren, her kids, and they're great. And she said when the ESA program came along, we finally had the freedom to support our kids in specific ways that each of them needed. And now that the siblings are able to be part of the ESA, that's actually simplified that family's daily situation, trying to get everybody to the right school. So at any rate, so we've got a lot of providers here. Some of these you may recognize. The local YMCAs, for instance. I actually presented back in March to all the YMCAs on their monthly Zoom call, and we've gotten some YMCAs to start signing up so they can, the parents can pay for their membership and their child's membership and any programs the kids are in. They can start paying with scholarship dollars. If your local YMCA is not a part of this, let them know to be part of it, and I'm happy to call them and make sure they register and get involved in the program. We had a success story in Evansville, Indiana, at the Southeastern YMCAs of Indiana. Crystal Perion, who's one of the administrators there, was able to make known the scholarship account to a family, and they really needed some help badly, and the child was able to qualify for $20,000 of scholarship money, and it's been life transforming for the whole family and taking a great burden off their back. Now, the nice thing about the scholarship money, I should have explained this earlier, it's not taxable income. So it does not hurt the Medicaid waiver. It does not hurt private insurance. It's just literally another bucket of money to work out of. So I hope that's helpful for anybody listening here. So it does not reduce what they would get in a Medicaid waiver or anything like that. And we've got schools, plenty of schools coming in. If you've got a school in mind that's not part of the education scholarship account, talk to the local school, the local private school, and then let me know, and I can call them too, and we'll do the 1-2 punch on them and get them to sign up. Now, statistics wise, since 2022, we funded more than 1,000 students in this program. This program has a long way to go. I mean, we're starting to spread our wings. This year we'll probably be at about 1,200 kids in the program at once. And obviously next year and the year after that we'll go higher. But, there are 170,000 special needs kids in the state of Indiana that have been identified. And we're only helping a fraction of them right now. We got a long way to go. Is the ESA right for every special needs kid out there? No, probably not right for everybody's situation, but it's right for a lot more than are yet in the program. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to your organization, because you know where the people are and who needs the help, and we're there to make sure it gets directed into the right hands. Total of $10 million allocated for scholarships at this point, this year. The average scholarship award for the ESA student is just about $18,000 actually. Like I said, we got over 500 schools and providers throughout Indiana that have been approved to give services to our students. And right now, I mean, well, as of May 2024, here we are in July, we had over 800 students that have started an application for this school year. Not all of them will finish the application as they figure out maybe whether or not they would qualify or not, but now that siblings have been added to it, we should fill it up this year. So, get in fast, as fast as you can, or, if you know a family you think that would be, that would qualify for this, have them to call our office. I'll make sure that our number is available so the parent can inquire. And it's better to ask the question than to not know. And that's our stance on it. And we're happy to help. So with that, that's pretty much all I have. I don't want to get too far down in the weeds with everybody and just make things a mess. So what other questions do we have that you'd like to ask?
All right, we do have several questions that have come in.
I'll do my best.
Can a child use both the ESA and Choice Scholarship, or is it only one?
Just one. I can't double dip. But the thing is, if you've got a special needs child, if you're able to use the ESA, use it, because where it's for the special needs community, where it's superior is the voucher stops after tuition and fees, right? And it doesn't, if you're homeschooled, it doesn't do anything for you. But if you use the ESA, that means anything after tuition and fees, you've got that extra money for extra therapies, tutoring, camps, lessons, etc. And that's important. That's where the rubber hits the road and you get the extra. I'll give you an example. My brother-in-law and his wife adopted an autistic child. He's 8 years old. He's nonverbal, great kid. My brother-in-law didn't know what I did at the time. And I asked him, I said, you guys have the Medicaid waiver? And he's like, yeah, we've got the Medicaid waiver. It helps pay for Ethan's ABA therapy at, in Greenwood, Indiana, because he goes full time. He goes, but there's nothing left after that. We'd like to do so much more with him. Well, they're in the ESA now. Ethan got the full $20,000, and now he's taking equine therapy. So he's riding horses and responding super well. We got some great pictures of him standing up, proudly in the saddle, which was just amazing. And he was as straight as an arrow. He was doing great. Then also he's taking swim lessons at Aqua Tots and water therapy. And the kid is a water dog. He loves the water. And, it's just really neat to see.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Is Sylvan Learning Center a participant in this program?
They are. Does it say which one? I think
It does not. It doesn't. It just
right
says
now in the
Sylvan.
state of Indiana are part of the ESA. And if not, let me know and I'll call them. But we should have all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is ABA considered a school for the ESA?
It's not considered a school, but they can use their scholarship dollars to cover it,
Right.
whatever they need to.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I want to kind of, I'm going to go off on a tangent on. The ESAs, yes, it can pay for tuition for a private school if that school is enrolled in the program. but it can also pay for therapies. It can help pay for speech. It can help pay for occupational therapy. It can help pay for ABA. Now they want you to use your private insurance first or your Medicaid first, and then the ESA can potentially come in if that provider is enrolled in the program. And that's where what PJ was saying is so important. Talk to your therapy providers to find out if they're part of the program, and if not, encourage them to, because he's right. Insurance can be a nightmare, and this is a
They
lot
hate
easier
it
for
too. They
them
hate
on a,
dealing with it too.
yeah.
Uh,
So that can always be a possibility too. Go ahead, PJ.
And Carly, one of the important things too is, we found out a lot of times families, they may not do therapy because of a high deductible for their insurance.
Mhm.
Well, guess
Yeah.
what? Now you can plug in the ESA funds for that deductible
Mhm.
and you're on your way. So
Mhm.
that's really nice.
Absolutely. Do you help parents find tutors?
We don't help find tutors, but we list our tutors up on our portion of the state government website, so you can go find your own tutors.
Mhm.
And we've had a lot of tutors that weren't part of it, and the parent called in and say, "Hey, PJ, can you call so and so?" I call them, they get right in, and bam, they can start using their scholarship dollars for that.
Right. Um, how do you apply and how do you get the educational testing done?
Okay, as far as the application goes, you can visit our portion of the state government website. That's maybe you can type this in, Carly. It's in.gov.
Hold on one second.
Yep, take your time.
IAM.gov. Go ahead.
Backslash TOS for Treasurer of State,
Okay.
backslash INESA.
Okay.
And Carly, if I haven't already, when we get done here, I will send you all the one sheet PDF marketing pieces that I have. So you can push those out to folks that were on the call today. And it'll have all that contact information in there. But literally you can call in and we'll walk you through it and explain it if we need to and answer any questions you have.
Okay. I believe I have been able to put that in the chat, but I think you guys know me well enough to know I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world, so I
Neither am
can't swear
I.
to it.
Neither am I.
So, um, and PJ, this is also something that can grow with students. It can absolutely address the needs of a kindergartner, a first grader, those kids who may be transitioning
Yes.
from an ABA program into the public school system,
Yeah.
and that
The
might be
key, the
something
key
that
piece
that parents
there
can
with the
do.
public school is they have to be part of it. We're starting to get a few public schools that are
Mhm.
relenting and saying yes, but
Mhm.
quite frankly, some of the public schools are like, well, that was our money to begin with, and we don't want to do business with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna
I
be them sometimes, and that's
yeah.
okay. So
Uh, but then as they grow older, this can also be something that, let's say once they're in high school, not only can this make sure that they're continuing to progress toward that high school diploma, but if I'm remembering correctly, this can also potentially work with some vocational providers too to work on some of those foundational job skills as
there
well.
is there's a different program, and
Mhm.
I'll make
Are you
sure you
talking
get
pre-ets?
it's the CSA. And
Okay.
so the newest program out of our office, and
Okay.
Parker Zent he's the outreach manager for that one, but it's called the CSA, and that's for all 10th, 11th, and 12th graders in the state of Indiana. And they get $5,000 each year for vocational training. So they're ready to have a real job right out of high school. You could actually have the ESA and the CSA at the same time.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So,
incredible.
but at any rate, for all 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, that is a great new program that's got started so that, kids do have job skills right out of high school. So they're ready to, a lot of kids don't want to take on $150,000 worth of debt to go to college.
Right.
They,
Right.
they want to work. And the state of Indiana has taken steps to make sure they'll be ready.
Okay. One thing I do want to kind of clarify, um, it's not that families directly get this money. This money is kind of set aside into the treasurer's office computer system so that they can access it that way. But it's not like parents are getting a check and then they set it out.
No, basically the money goes into an account on Class Wallet on that website.
Mhm.
And hang on one second. Somebody's trying to call in here. We gotta tell them they gotta wait. Um, basically, the parent has control of the money to use for approved expenses. So when you get that invoice, you upload it right into Class Wallet. We'll look at it, approve it or reject it. Most of the time we get to approve it. And then Class Wallet will pay that provider for you within 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
So
If anybody has any more questions, please go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A. So PJ, I want to thank you so much for your time and in talking about this. This is something that, it is a relatively new program,
mhm.
and a lot of families, haven't heard of this program before, but it can make a huge difference for so many families. And if you're a family who is already homeschooling, if you're a family who has been thinking about it, but you weren't sure how to actually pull it off, the ESA can give you the tools and the support that you need to be able to do that. I know I am not somebody who would necessarily be able to go much beyond middle school math and
I know I wouldn't.
sciences. It's been 20 years, 25 years since I've done any of that. And I found the loophole to take linguistics as a science in college, okay? So that's not my area of expertise, but guess what? If my child was using an ESA, I could find somebody
Mhm.
instead of relying just on me to teach
Yeah,
those programs where I don't have the strongest, background in that, but I could find somebody who could, teach that to my child. I
yeah,
could, I could use this to ensure that my child was getting occupational therapy or speech therapy. Is this something that could this also in some way be used to help work on social skills?
yes.
Sorry, I
There is
totally
life
just
skills is part of it.
okay.
That's one of the reasons, for instance, like things like the YMCA, camps and things like that
Okay.
they do. We those are approved expenses. So
Okay.
that's why I want to get all the YMCA's in the state of Indiana because that's perfect for life skills.
Sure.
We've
Sure.
also got Camp Red Cedar and Camp Millhouse in the state of Indiana that are great camps that have signed up for the ESA, and you can do some nice things with those for the kids.
Excellent. All right. The final thing that has come through is one of our individuals on the call saying this is awesome information. Thank you, and I can't agree with that enough. Thank you so much for your time tonight, PJ, and thank
Yeah.
you for helping to explain all of this and making it accessible for families so that they know what their options really are.
We want to make sure that if the family qualifies, they get that money in that account and they can use it. That's what this is for. And if people will think of other questions after this, and say, I wish I would have
Mhm.
asked that. Just have them send it to you, and then you can forward them to me,
Okay.
and I'll answer those on case by
Absolutely.
case.
Absolutely. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Again, Ask the ARC is a monthly webinar that we host. If there are any topics you'd like us to cover, just send me an email at carly@arcind.org, and we can gladly, incorporate those suggestions into our sessions. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and have a great night.
Carly, you're the
Bye,
best.
everybody.
Thank you.